1984 by George Orwell, the three main superpowers of the world, Eastasia, Eurasia, and Oceania, are at war to gain control of the upper half of Africa, the Middle East, and a small strip of Asia, and they've been fighting for a long time. It doesn't seem like it will ever end, and Oceania is always changing who their ally is. Now, one could argue that the world isn't actually at war, and that the war was made up just to get rid of extra resources that are being produced and keep the population at bay. But that's a different topic. Now, while Oceania is constantly at war with the world in 1984, in the modern world, the US has been through many wars, including, but not limited to, the Civil War, World War I and II, the Cold War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Second Persian Gulf War, and the Afghanistan War, which is still going on after 19 years and is the longest war in US history. As time goes on and more wars happen, people find the need to create better and more deadly weapons in the hopes that it will stop the war faster. But this can create more wars as bad people gain control of these weapons. For instance, the atomic bomb was created during the last year of World War II. While it did help end World War II, it also caused over 220,000 deaths in Japan. Going to war with atomic bombs would mean the end of the world as we know it. We are constantly creating more advanced guns, ships, submarines, aircraft, missiles, bombs, and technology in the hopes of protecting our nation. While they are effective, they are also creating more enemies as other nations see it as a threat to themselves. These weapons will be the death of all of us. Timothy McGrath from Mint Press News states that the definition of war comes from Linda Bilmes of Harvard Kennedy School and Michael Introligator of the UCLA. War is defined as conflicts where the U.S. is launching extensive military incursions, including drone attacks, but that are not officially declared. According to this definition, the United States is currently involved in 134 wars. It seems like now the only wars are against terrorists. No countries are at war with each other, only against terrorist groups. And this won't be ending anytime soon. According to Glenn Greenwald from The Guardian in a 2013 article, some former Obama administration officials say that the war on terror will last at least another 10 years. But Greenwald says the US has done many things that indicate that it will never end, including renewing the Bush-Cheney warrantless eavesdropping framework for another 5 years, renewing the Patriot Act without a single reform, and signing into law new restrictions on the release of indefinitely held detainees. According to Justin King of Mint Press News, 3 years ago, the Director of Central Intelligence, John Brennan, answered questions about the war on terror. He said that he believes the war on terror will last for a long time, and that America's sons and daughters will continue to die under this ill-conceived foreign policy for millennia to come. I don't know about you, but to me that sounded like he just said that this war will last for at least another 1,000 years. That's a lot longer than 10 years. This thought terrifies me because in 1,000 years, we will have created more destructive weapons than the nuclear bomb. After President John F. Kennedy realized the horrors and devastation that nuclear war could cause, he saw the threat of war with the Soviet Union. In response, he signed the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, one of the best decisions he made in office. This marks the first great step to a world without war. Sadly, we are still waiting for the next step. I've come to notice that there is always some war going on and the US seems to always take a part in it. I believe that, like in 1984, this will never stop, and the US will always support every part of it. There will always be war on Earth because people will never see eye to eye on everything, which means that someone will always have a reason to fight someone else, whether it be over a land dispute, something from their past, or just hating another nation. Our generation has been taught to expect no end to war in general, which is completely wrong, because constant war is not something that has ever before been considered normal for the US. I mean, take a look around. We let children watch movies about war, and I'll admit, some of them are pretty good. But these movies are helping to indoctrinate kids with the idea of constant warfare across the world. They've seen what can happen, and they feel the need to protect their country. One way to stop this is to find the second great step to a world without war, and then the next one, and the next one, until we finally have peace. Now this is something that only government officials can do, like our president and Congress. You're probably asking, what can I do? Well, one thing that you can do is elect people who will actually take action and make new laws preventing war and restricting the amount of forces we put into other wars instead of just talking about it. We can try to convince the government to think of different ways of settling arguments instead of having an all-out war and trying to keep good relationships with other nations. This is what you can do. I know it isn't a lot, it has a low probability of working, but if you want to help end constant war, this is the way to do it.